Now we're going to start dividing whole numbers, and we're going to begin with some rather simple properties, but they're essential properties that you understand. We're going to begin with something like 8 divided by 8 is equal to 1. Anytime you divide a number by itself, the quotient, that's the answer to a multiplication problem, is equal to 1. If I want to take 8 divided by 1, that will equal 8. Any number divided by 1 gives itself as the quotient. If we have 0 divided by 8, we're taking 0, splitting it into 8 parts, and that quotient is going to be 0. But if we take 8 divided by 0, we cannot divide something up into 0 parts, and so in this case we're going to use the word undefined as our answer. Now this will be true also when we get to fractions. When we have 8 divided by 0 written as a fraction, that will equal undefined, but 0 divided by 8 as a fraction will still be 0. Now let's talk about why this is the case. Let's say I have the fraction 3/4. You know that we can think of that as a picture with 4 parts where 3 of those 4 are shaded in. But when we try to take 0 parts and shade in 8 of them, that doesn't make sense, and that's why we use that word undefined there. This word undefined will be with you through all of your future math classes in one way or another, and it's just going to continue to build as a concept. Now let's look at the phrasing here. When we're asked to find the quotient of a number in 6, the word quotient of tells us, we're going to be dividing two things. And whenever you say find the quotient of this and that, the this goes in the numerator and the that goes in the denominator. So a number in 6, that might be x divided by 6, or x divided by 6 written this way. Notice how the number comes first and the 6 comes second. It's important that you have the order right because division is not commutative. You cannot switch the order around when you are dividing. Now let's do a long division problem. This 7 outside of our division bar symbol is called the divisor. So that's over here on the left, divisor. The answer to our problem up top is going to be known as the quotient. And the number inside this symbol is known as the dividend. Now, you start with the 7 and you ask, how many times does 7 go into 4? The answer is, it doesn't. So we move on to 45. How many times does 7 go into 45? Well, you need to know your multiplication tables pretty well. 7 times 6 is 42. So this goes in 6 times. And then we take that 6 on the top, we multiply it by the 7 on the side to get 42. We then subtract the 42 off to get 3, bring down 6, and then we ask, how many times does 7 go into 36? Well, 7 times 5 is 35, so I'm going to write a 5 up above that 6 there. The product was 35. Subtract and get 1. At this point, we'll have to determine what we do with that 1. In this first chapter, we're just going to say remainder 1. In the fraction chapter, we'll say 1/7 will be the fraction part of the mixed number. And in the decimal chapter, we're going to put a decimal here, and we're going to put a 0 afterwards, bring that 0 down, and we're going to continue dividing. But for now, we're just going to go with the remainder method. Now let's move up to some slightly larger numbers. 32,015 divided by 29. Now I don't know my multiplication problems for 29, but 29 is pretty close to 30. So I'm going to pretend this is a 30 when I do my guessing of how many times it goes into our different numbers inside here. 29 does not go into 3, so I move on to 32. 29 does go into 32 one time. 1 times that 29 on the side is 29. And when I subtract, I get 3, bring down a 0. And 29, we ask how many times does it go into 30? The answer is it goes in 1 time. 1 times 29 is 29. We subtract and we get 1, and we bring our next number 1 down. Now, 29 does not go into the 11. Because of that, we need to write a 0 there to signify that the answer was no, it doesn't go in. And instead of just going 0 times 29 and writing 0 and subtracting, we just bring the next number down, which is 5. Now, 29, I'm going to think of that as a 30. 30 times 4 is 120. So I'm thinking this might only go 3 times because it's just a little bit too large. So let's go with 4. Off to the side to my scratch paper, 29 times 4, that's 36, carry my 3. 4 times 2 is 8, plus that 1 is, you see I was right. 4 wasn't going to go in. So 29 times 3 is going to have to be the answer here. 27, carry our 2, get 87. There's our 3. That's going to become 87. Subtract 5 minus 7. Oh, can't do it, so we're going to borrow from that 1, make it a 0, make this a 15. 15 minus 7 is 8. 0 minus 8 we can't do, but 10 minus 8 is 2. And there is a remainder of 28, so R 28. The reason I chose this problem was specifically because of that 0 there and how you handle that. So often people say the answer is 113, forgetting to put that 0 in there.